The next one is China Salesman from 2017, I believe, directed by Tan Bing, and it's a Chinese film. Basically, this film is different in the respect that it's a Steven Seagal film. It's different in that it's also with Mike Tyson in one of the other roles.
Oh.
And what are your thoughts about China Salesman?
The most important criticism I have is the English.
Yanjin, you have violated the laws of our country and are hereby under arrest for drinking and hiding alcohol.
This is not alcohol. It's goat milk.
Goat's milk.
Goat milk.
Get him up.
I was set up.
Let's go.
Trust me.
Let's go.
I said I did not put alcohol in there. I said I was set up. Trust me.
What other things didn't you like about the film?
Well, I mean, I think the acting is horrendous, really.
From
really everybody. I think no one shines through in this one.
No.
And that's kind of it's a shame, because most of the films we've seen, you've at least seen one actor that's like, okay, well, that actor is pretty good in this film.
Mm-hmm.
But here I think it's a unanimous, it's a collective bad work, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody brings their F game to this one.
Yeah.
But you can kind of tell that this film is Chinese propaganda too.
Yeah, and also the film has a lot of Chinese nationalist propaganda. And some scenes are more blatant than others. Like there's a scene where they're supposed to pass this area where there are like armed rebels or forces.
Yeah.
And they say that they can't pass this area without a UN flag.
Yeah.
Like United Nations flag. And they don't have that flag. But then they have this idea of like, let's take this Chinese flag instead.
Yeah.
And what happens after that is basically like they start driving, and all of the soldiers are like almost in awe of like the Chinese flag.
Yeah.
And they're just like smiling and looking at the lead in the film. And then you think it's all over, like, that was a little bit of patriotism, but just a couple of seconds. But then more soldiers come, and they see the flag, and then they scream like, "Ni hao!" And the guy answers like, "Ni hao!" And then like there's a slow motion scene, so that we really understand, you know, how like what a meddler and a peaceful force
and even
China is in this
and
region.
Even the European girl holds the Chinese flag, you know.
Yeah, and she like waves the flag, and I mean it can't really get more patriot, or it can get more like
on the nose,
like patriotic.
Because you could argue that the American films are also propagandistic, or whatever you call it. But I feel like they do it in a more subtle way. You know, the story just takes place on a ship, and you know it has a lot to do with the army and yada yada. But they don't really have like Steven Seagal running around with the American flag trying to save the day.
Yeah,
you know?
and also, I mean, you could argue, if we were to analyze Executive Decision, for example, it has kind of this America-centric narrative, and it's kind of understandable too because it's an American film.
Yeah.
But I do think that, you know, the portrayal of the terrorists are quite one-dimensional as well. And I one could argue also that in movies like this, you can't really go too complex, since it's such a formulaic, entertainment-focused story.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth mentioning that also films like Executive Decision also has its fair share of patriotism or nationalism, but this time it's America.
Yeah, and less on the nose. I feel more tactfully made.
I think maybe a line is crossed when we basically have like a character waving the flag of the country. Then it's like, okay, this is like super nationalist.
Yeah.
But then also like the film ends with this like message about like telecom, and I believe China is doing some business or doing a lot of business in Africa and expanding and so it's perhaps because of that. But then also, were there things that you liked about Chinese Salesman?
Not really.
I think the cinematography was pretty good.
Oh.
It was very studio-like TV movie, like even lighting everywhere. It looked like a commercial, but it was well shot. It wasn't a poorly shot film.
And I also think like it's more entertaining to see a film like China Salesman than Executive Decision and Under Siege, because when you watch these movies that take themselves very seriously, you have to kind of really follow the plot. But like China Salesman, it's more like it's been so panned of a movie, so it doesn't really matter if you get all of the details.
No, right.
But these films that aren't like, they haven't, I mean, neither Under Siege or Executive Decision have received like rave reviews.
No.
But they have received well enough reviews that you have to take them somewhat seriously.
Yeah, because all of these films, none of them reach 7 stars out of 10.
Yeah.
It's always like 6 point something.
Yeah, exactly.
At the very best level. I would say that I actually enjoyed Executive Decision more than Chinese Salesman.
Okay.
But then again, I kind of enjoyed all of them for different reasons.
Yeah. But also is it called Chinese Salesman and not the China Salesman?
China Salesman or Chinese Salesman.
Yeah, but it also has another title, I think, in English.
Deadly Contract or Tribal something.
Well, what's up with all the titles? Like,
I don't know. Could be like different from country to country, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's enough for that film. I know it was also shot in Australia, and they casted a lot of immigrants or refugees from South Sudan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's just some trivia right there. So, and one could also mention, like, I think someone is trolling on the like IMDb trivia page because they wrote something like, Mike Tyson lost 25 pounds for this role while Steven Seagal gained 25, and I can't believe, that Steven Seagal like decided on gaining 25 pounds for this role. And it also said some trivia like his contract says a lot of money for the budget went to Steven Seagal's expensive taste in food and women. I can't believe that's like official trivia for this film.